Hi kiddos, hi grown-ups, it's Mrs. C, and I'm back for another episode of our Kinder Countdown. And I am so happy to see you today. How have you been this week? Oh boy. Well, I am so thankful that you are spending some time together and time with me today as we talk about another way that we can be really super ready for kindergarten. And that's by thinking about something that happens every single day, no matter where we are, interacting with other people. So when we are interacting with other people, we have to make some decisions. And sometimes we don't even realize that our brain is making these decisions. So I thought today we would slow our thinking down and take some time to wonder and be curious about personal space. Yes, personal space. Let's take a pause and you talk with your grown-up about what personal space is. I think you have lots of ideas. Did you come up with some ideas of what you think personal space is? Let's hear some of them. Yes, okay. So some of you are talking about the idea that you're a person and you take up space. Very good. Yes, I heard that. Yes, space. You're thinking of outer space. So like wide open spaces. Yes, very good. Very good. What else did you think about? Wow, that was a really great idea. Personal space, like how much space you want between you and another person. That, I think, is a great way for us to start our discussion. Yes, personal space means how much space you put between your body and another person's body so that everyone feels comfortable. And I brought along something that I like to play with during the summer that I thought might help us have this discussion. It is my bubble wand and some soap bubbles. Have you ever used a bubble wand? Let's see. It's so much fun to do that. Let me see if I can get some more bubbles here. My bubble wand has a big space and a small space to make the bubbles. So let's see if I can make some big bubbles and some small bubbles. I was able to. And the reason I like to use a bubble wand to help us talk about personal space is because there's no one size of personal space for every situation. It really kind of depends what you're doing to determine or decide how much personal space you might need to give to make someone else feel comfortable. I want you to stop for a moment and talk with your grown-up and ask your grown-up, and maybe your grown-up can ask you, how much personal space do you like to have in these three situations? How much personal space do you like to have when you're with your family? How much personal space do you like to have when you're with friends? And how much personal space do you like to have when you're in a new place, maybe with people that you've not met before? Let's talk about those three times when you are looking for personal space and talk about how much space do you want when you are with family, friends, or new people that you're just meeting. I'll be right back to hear some of your thoughts. Did you have some time to talk about that? I'm so glad. I really think that when we're in school, especially, we're going to have times where we want our personal space bubble. I'll use my bubble wand to talk about it. Where we want our personal space bubble to be small because we want to be close. Maybe we're playing a game that requires sharing. Maybe we're playing a game at school or reading a story together that requires us to share a book and have our bodies be close. Sometimes at school, when we're working at our table and we need to be able to move our arms and use our crayons, we might want our personal space bubble to be a little bit bigger. It's not super big, but it gives us the chance to have something I like to call, and that you might have heard of before, that's called elbow room. Can you put your two hands into fists and put them side by side? Put them together like this, and then wiggle your elbows. Oh my goodness, that's what we mean by elbow room. We mean that this whole space around us is free and open, and nobody else's body is in that space because we need room to move and our friends don't want to get boop, boop, elbowed, right? So sometimes we need a little bit more space, like when we're working at our desks. Or another great time when we might need that elbow room is when we're having our lunch. We're going to be sitting close together, and that's fine. We don't need a lot of space during those times, but it still feels good to not be bumping into each other every time we reach for something or stretch or bring our spoon to our mouth. Then there are other times where we actually want to have maybe a lot more space than just elbow room. Sometimes we talk about this at school in terms of a hula hoop. Do you know what a hula hoop is? Yes, it's one of those rings that you can put around your waist, and sometimes you can make it go round and round your body. But if you just let that hula hoop fall to the ground, you'll notice that it gives you a nice amount of space. Sometimes it's actually as big as arm length. So if you put your arms out to the side or you put your arm out in front of you, sometimes we need that much space. And that's really helpful if we're playing outside games. That's really helpful if we're meeting somebody for the first time or we're interacting with somebody who for the moment is a stranger. Sometimes we like to have the comfort that a full hula hoop's worth of space gives us. So let's talk with our grown-up about times in our day when we have been at home, maybe at the grocery store, maybe at a park or a playground, maybe at daycare or preschool. Let's talk about different things that you have done while you're there and how much space felt comfortable to you in those settings. Thanks for taking some time to talk about that. And now that you have some of those ideas in your mind, I want to share with you a part of a book that our school counselor uses when she's teaching lessons about personal space. The book talks about personal space in school and how sometimes that can feel tricky, but at the same time, we can have some big ideas that help us in navigating that day to day. I hope you enjoy this passage that I'm going to read to you. Sit back and take a listen. An excerpt from Personal Space Camp by Julia Cook. Our principal said, "Everybody has a comfort bubble. Your comfort bubble is usually about the size of a hula hoop. If you get out of your hoop and get too close to another person, you break their comfort bubble. Let me blow some bubbles. Look at all of the bubbles. Are they the same size?" "No," we agreed. Your comfort bubble will not always be the same size either, she said. Sometimes it will be big, like when you are around a stranger or in a new situation. And at other times, your comfort bubble will be smaller, like when you are around your family and close friends. Most of the time, when you are here at school, your comfort bubble needs to be about the size of a hula hoop. Next, our principal pulled out a big long rope with lots of knots in it. Does anyone know what this is? Not exactly, we said. Everyone grab a knot with their right hand. This is how far apart you should be when you walk with your class in a line. If you put your arms straight out ahead of you, your fingertips will barely be able to touch the shoulders of the person in front of you. Everyone has plenty of room, and your comfort bubbles will not get broken. I really loved how their principal pointed out that we want to give everyone enough space so that we don't get so close that we break a friend's comfort bubble. When we get to school, you'll find that sometimes if you're feeling that somebody's inside your comfort bubble, inside your personal space bubble, you might feel a little uncomfortable. But one superpower you always have at school is the power to say how you're feeling and the power to ask how someone else is feeling. For example, if you're feeling like you need more space, it will always be okay for you to say, "Stop, I need some more space." It will also always be okay for you to check in with classmates or friends and ask a question. Maybe you might say something as simple as, "Do you have enough space?" Or, "Would you like me to give you more space?" Those kinds of questions show that you care about everybody feeling safe and comfortable in school. And that will make sure that you're feeling safe and comfortable at school. Kiddos, I am so glad that you took the time to be with me today. And grown-ups, thank you so much for all of your support. Having these conversations before school and practicing these skills before we get to school is going to make the start of kindergarten so fantastic. Keep being kind, be helpful around the house, and I'll see you real soon.